Hi everyone, my name is Dr. Mark Ettensohn. Welcome to Heal NPD. This week's episode is a bit different. My father passed away unexpectedly last week. This has been a difficult time, and one of the ways that I cope is by thinking things through psychologically. I suppose this episode represents both a tribute to my father and also an example of how I think and feel my way through loss. Specifically, I want to reflect on something from self-psychology that feels especially relevant right now: the idea of an idealized parent imago. In self-psychology, the idealized parent imago refers to a child's ability to use an idealized image of a parent or caregiver as a source of reassurance and safety. Around a certain age, children become aware of their smallness and their vulnerability. Self-psychology posits that this awareness can be traumatic, and children protect themselves by constructing an unconscious, internal image of an idealized parent or caregiver. This internal image consists of the caregiver's real qualities, but fused with parts of the child that need to be kept safe. This idealized construct becomes a refuge and a source of reassurance that everything will be okay. Since the image is idealized, the child tends to regard the caregiver as perfect, infallible, and all-powerful. This process is adaptive. It allows the child to feel anchored and secure, even in difficult or unstable circumstances. My father was undeniably this figure for me. My parents divorced when I was very young, about 2 years old. Growing up, my dad and I didn't live in the same household. He lived 1 or 2 states away, so visits occurred once every 3 or 4 months. Nevertheless, I idealized him deeply. In many ways, the distance made it easier for me to see him as larger than life. But it also meant that it took me longer to know him in a more real and personal way, and also perhaps for him to really know me. Still, he was worthy of many of the qualities that I projected onto him. He spent his life serving others, especially underserved communities, and my sense of what is good and important in the world has been profoundly shaped by his example. Without that influence, I would almost certainly be living a very different life. Developmentally, these idealizations need to be worked through. Children must eventually take back the idealized parts that they projected onto their parent. This process happens gradually, through the accumulation of small, non-traumatic disappointments and the intrusions of reality into the idealized image of the parent. The toy that didn't arrive, a stressful day when the parent is low on patience, or countless other everyday moments where reality falls short of the fantasy. When that happens slowly and in the context of everyday presence, the child is able to reabsorb the projected parts of self. But now, they're infused with reality. If the caregiver doesn't have to be perfect, then maybe the child doesn't have to be perfect either. And as a result of this relational process, the child's self-esteem becomes more realistic and stable. But sometimes that process is interrupted. Maybe there's a sudden premature loss of the idealized parent. Maybe the parents separate and the dad moves several states away. Such an arrangement removes the possibility of having non-traumatic, everyday sorts of disappointments that gradually temper and modulate the idealized parent imago that's held within the child. The idealized parent remains fixed as ideal. And this can set the child up for unrealistic, perfectionistic, or even grandiose standards. If the idealized parent is never discovered to be just a normal human being, then the child's self-image can be equally unrealistic, and the effects on self-esteem can be profound. In therapy, this process can be worked through. Patients project idealized parts of the self onto the therapist, who inevitably fails to live up to them. Ideally, these disappointments are not catastrophic, but unfold slowly as the trust and safety of the therapy relationship builds. This process gives the patient permission to also not be perfect. The therapist's task, in this context, is to remain present and attuned, helping the patient to metabolize the inevitable disappointments until those projected parts of self can be reclaimed in a more realistic form. This is a cornerstone of self-psychology and one pathway toward healthier self-esteem. With my father, I was fortunate. I was eventually able to have very difficult conversations with him about his absences during my childhood and the ways that they influenced me. These conversations were frightening. The stakes felt high. But to his credit, he listened without defensiveness. He heard what I had to say, expressed gratitude for my honesty, and offered an authentic apology. And that openness deepened my respect for him, perhaps more than anything else. It was one of the greatest gifts I've ever received. He modeled accountability, humility, and the courage to face imperfection. His acceptance of my angry and hurt feelings toward him gave me permission to have them as well. I no longer needed him to be perfect. He became simply good, flawed, human, and someone who had made painful and sometimes costly mistakes, but still good. And those are lessons that I carry with me, and I try to embody in my work and my relationships, and now through this channel. So I dedicate this episode to my father. May the lessons he taught me, by example and through our relationship, be carried forward here, and perhaps serve others in the way that he once served me. All right, so that's it for today. As always, thanks for being here, and until next time, take good care.